and I have a fresh topic on my mind, and I just need to get it off of my chest. And that topic is DTF color correction and the nightmare that comes with it. I'm right in the middle of being unbelievably frustrated with DTF and the colors you get when printed out. And I found out that I'm not alone. So just to give you a brief kind of rundown of what's going on. A while back, I bought a DTF printer, started a side hustle, doing some DTF stuff, and for multiple reasons. Talk about that later. But when you get into DTF printing on your own, what happens? Well, one, you start to realize that the colors that you see on your digital screen are not the colors that you'll see when you print your DTFs. They sometimes are drastically different. And why is that? Well, a lot of things. Could be the original artwork you got wasn't converted to CMYK. It could be that whatever you're using to convert to CMYK is not converting well. Could be the file format. Could be the DTF printer. Could be the paper you're using. Could be the types of inks you're using. There are so many things that go into getting the color correct when printing DTF. And us as screen printers, we expect and we think a certain way when we're dealing with vector art and the ink that we're using, right? Ink we're using has a lot to do with what the color finally looks like in the end. And we can just, in our mind go, yeah, we can print that. And then you go out to the press and you do your colors, and then you're like, okay, I need add a little bit more yellow, a little bit more green, or whatever else, right? We can make those colors work and get really darn close to the proof. We also have the mixing systems, the color match, and all that stuff, right? Well, in digital, you're realizing that you're basically having to realize the fact that, one, customers are viewing it on a monitor. Two, the customer's providing artwork for DTF. Typically, it's, hey, let's just give me a PNG. We'll be fine. We don't need vector because we're not separating. Okay, that PNG, it's got to be at least 300 DPI. Great. We got all that. Well, it doesn't end there. What we've kind of been frustrated about and figured out is that, color profile in your machine has a lot to do with that. And this is what every single supplier out there has to deal with who's providing DTFs. They have to choose a color profile. What works best for dark garments, what works best for white garments, that kind of thing. And so you can go into this big old rabbit hole of trying to get your colors to work perfectly. Well, the problem is you'll never get them to work perfectly because, one, if you're just sending them out to somebody, you're the one who is, or you're relying on whoever printer they're using to do it. So I'm on a call. My wife is peeking in right now. So what do we do? Like DTF Stream's a big one. My wife's an idiot. DTF Stream's a big one where, like, let's say you order from Ninja Transfers. Well, Ninja Transfers is so busy that they're sending it to DTF Stream, and DTF Stream is like sending it to people like me to print, right? Well, one time you're going to get 100 transfers that look a certain color because that printer used a color profile that they're using, but then the next time they choose somebody else to do their prints, or the Ninja Transfers uses another vendor to use their prints, and guess what? They used a different color profile or a different paper or whatever. And so they don't look exactly the same. Dang it. Like, this is a problem that we're all facing. How do we get the color to look right? The short answer is we're not. The long answer is there's some fun ways that we can do things, and also not so fun ways, but like processes that we can implement to try to get closer. And so this is what we're working through right now at Rock Hill Screen Printing. The biggest thing we're working through is that when a customer brings in a piece of artwork, I talked to my buddy Kyle Robinson over at Print My Threads. He basically explained to us, he said, when a customer comes in, they're going to give you a piece of artwork. And of course, if they don't have vector, you're going to recommend DTF, or for whatever reason you recommend DTF, right? Well, at that point, you have to have a conversation with whoever's doing your art. Can we hit these colors? And then the artist has, basically got to go check. Can we hit these colors? Well, how are they doing that? Whoever's providing the DTFs, whether it be us, who I have a DTF printer, so I'm printing basically swatches, or someone else is, like Limitless offer swatches. Different people offer swatches. Anybody who you get DTF prints from should offer swatches. Those swatches can be printed off by them, and they send them to you, and you heat press those on a shirt. Usually it's a white shirt and a dark shirt. So I can print swatches, basically basic colors, a gamut of colors. It could be CMYK / Pantone colors that I can hit on my printer. You'll actually have a physical copy of those colors. Your artist will have a physical copy of those colors. You press those on a shirt. Now your art department looks at that piece of art and says, yep, I can hit that color right there. 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 Yes, we can hit those colors. Go back to the customer. Yes, we can do that. Okay, let's move forward. Now, if you can't, now you say, hey, I can't hit that color, but I can get close. I can hit this color here. So then you change the mock-up a little bit to actually make it look more like what you can hit. And you send that to the customer and say, hey, these are the things I can hit. Just so long as that customer has a realistic visual of what the end print's going to look like, then you'll be able to match the colors. If they want something that you can't hit, you got to tell them you can't hit those colors, and that's the end of conversation, because you can't just promise them something and then not deliver. So we have swatches. The artist looks at the swatches. Yes, I can hit them. No, I can't. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we get the job. We make the mock-up to look exactly like what it's going to look like at end printed. Now, here's the problem. Colors that you look at on the swatch list, the physical printed swatch list, will not look like that on your monitor when you're sending that artwork out to go print, because the swatches I have CMYK values, and basically you're just typing those CMYK values in and replacing those colors. Even in a PNG, you have to do it. You open up in Photoshop, you pick the color, you make a new layer, and you make that color that layer. You just have to do a little extra work if you really need to dial in the colors to match perfectly. There is no solution where you can just hit print and it will look exactly like that, because there's all these compressions and color corrections and shit that goes on at the printer. So again, it's a frustrating process. It's not an easy process. And I don't want you guys to be fooled by the fact that, you just buy a DTF printer and your problems are solved. They're not solved. Every single person that you send it out to, Ninja, Supercolor, all these different places, will struggle to match your colors correctly unless they're doing some secondary type of color correction, which chances are they are doing that, so that you're not complaining so much. So there's a lot of behind the scenes going on. If you're bringing it in-house, you got to know color correction. You got to understand your ICC profiles and color profiles. You got to start to dig into that crap, which is difficult. And you have to come up with some processes so that the customer sees what it's actually going to look like in the end, as opposed to what they provided, and maybe the blue's way off, or maybe the gray doesn't show up very well, or maybe the orange looks a little bit more red than it's supposed to. And 9 times out of 10, your customer's not going to give a crap if it's just like onesie twosie stuff. But if it's like some, NCAA tournament or something that, or Coke or someone that needs to match colors exactly, you got to do that with swatches, and you got to manipulate your artwork to get it dialed in. That's the main thing you have to do. That's the only thing that's going to work for you. Unless somebody's got some crazy new DTF printer out there that matches exact Pantones and everything, I know the answer is no. You're dealing with CMYK colors plus maybe a couple others, but you're not matching colors exactly. And some of you may not have a problem with that. Be like, well, I don't care. It's just the customer thing. It's their, they gave it to me. This is what they get. They get what they get, and they don't have a fit. Well, when you're dealing with customers that, want what they want, and it's a high dollar value for you, that that they traditionally bring you a lot of business, you're going to do whatever it takes to meet those expectations for color. And if it's DTF, you got some work to do. So it's just not, click and print. That's not how it works to match colors exactly. And so change your processes. Make sure you're ahead of the game a little bit moving forward so that you can dial in your processes, have steps in place to get the most accurate version of what it's going to look like in the end in your mock-ups to the customer, and let them approve those. And then you'll eliminate some of the headaches in the long run. So DTF color correction is the bane of most printers' existence. It's a problem. There's a million DTF manufacturers. None of them have a great solution for color correction or color profiles. As much money as you can spend, I think the latest color correction little sensor is like $1,800. It's insane. And it's something that has to be done if you're gonna be really good at it, and you're gonna bring it in house. So if those of you guys are out there considering maybe possibly bringing DTF inside, take those things into consideration. Definitely take into consideration that color profiling will be an issue, but it can be prevented if you have swatches from whoever does your DTFs in-house, physically stamped on a shirt, so that you can compare and contrast to what colors actually can hit from whoever's providing you those swatches, or whoever's providing you DTFs. If you got those, you're ahead of the game. You will match colors more consistently than not. So that's all I got for you guys. It's been on my mind. I'm struggling with it today. We're changing processes every day, trying to figure this crap out. So hope I helped you guys out. If you got any questions, let me know. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. It's been great seeing you. And hey, side note, go over to P&M's Instagram page and watch it. Will It Cannon. Ryan's hilarious. He t-shirt Cannon granola today, and that's pretty funny. So